Have you ever woke up in the middle of a dream and the dream was so interesting that you wanted to go back to sleep to see the end of it? If so, what was the dream? I had a dream where I was a criminal being executed. In the beginning of the execution, the platform fell forward and the people executing me died and I was still alive. Had a dream about a book series that I'm 99% sure doesn't exist. Been researching a lot, so I'm planning on writing it. I had a dream a long time ago that had a song in it that I've never heard, and I'm pretty sure doesn't exist. The whole premise of the dream itself was totally bizarre. In it, my sister was getting married, but instead of a wedding ceremony they were shooting a music video. The song was playing in the background while my sister and Bill were doing this strange dance. I can still remember the lyrics. I'll do what I say what I feel, it's so hard to be real. I spent the next few weeks on Morpheus trying to find that damn song to figure out what it was. It still eludes me nearly 20 years later. The one that I still think of sometimes is that I was sitting around with my wife and a couple of friends playing cards and I hear a couple of plops on the table. I look down and two of my fingertips are there, left index and left ring. No blood, no pain. My hand looks like the nubs people have years after losing a finger in an accident. The detached fingertips still look healthy and the formerly attached ends appear the same as my nubs, healed, sealed over with skin. I mention my calamity and say I need to go to the hospital and my friend thinks I'm overreacting since there's zero blood and zero pain. My wife reluctantly takes me in. The dream cuts to the hospital where I have a couple of doctors just kinda shrugging and going, well, if there's no pain, we don't see a problem. And that is when I woke up. Was watching a football game on the yard outside of my childhood home. One team featured Frazier Crane as a star player. The other team's star was Jesus Christ, wearing a white gown and sandals. Jesus was unstoppable. He ran a sweep to the right on every play and once he hit the corner, he was gone. A touchdown on every play. Frazier Crane would throw a touchdown pass to a cousin of mine on every play. The dream ended before the game was over, so I would have liked to continue watching to see if anyone ever could tackle Jesus or sack Mr. Crane. I was stranded on an island. The dream felt like it lasted several days, so I wanted to go back to sleep and see if I survive or not. I actually did see the dream again. I survived and escaped on boat, and I found a giant cargo ship. I remember me screaming hey, boat, over and over, and then it cuts off to me just walking around on the boat. Pretty odd, but it was very interesting. Any dream about falling in love? I once had a dream about reconnecting with my first love, and it was going great. But then I had the thought that what if it was all a dream? Then I woke up, all distraught. I felt awful. But then there she was, and we were back together. It was so uplifting. Until I actually woke up. What a way to play with your own emotions. I was in the living playing a cello in front of my family. I was playing the Pirates of the Caribbean theme, but it sounded like a full-blown orchestra. And as I got to the end, I woke up from a smiling me playing the cello, and am now sad. It sounded so good too. Open bracket. I do it all the time. Last night I dreamed I was on a luxurious cruise ship with my husband and friends. We were just hanging out in different bars on the ship and going out to the deck to watch as the ship arrived at a tropical port. It was great, but I woke up before I knew where we were. I think that was the point of the dream. I'm happy, secure, but have no idea where the ship is going. The ship representing life or the world, I guess. I have lots of dreams that involve my grandfather who raised me. It used to upset me a bit because I could never go back to the dream or control when they occurred. But eventually I learned to appreciate them. He walked on from life over 20 years ago, but it's really nice to see him every now and then, even if it's only in my dreams. Yes, I dreamt I had a hot girlfriend. I was cuddling her in the bathroom, bizarrely, and was about to say I love you when I woke up. It felt so real. I couldn't get back to the dream though. Me and Lego Gandalf fight ghosts with axes. I have two reoccurring dreams, probably half a dozen times each. and every time I wake up mid-story, if you can call it that. In one, I have all the powers of Spider-Man, and I literally have to fight armies of demons and orcs emerging from a crack in the earth. These dreams are always amazing. Very cinematic MCU style combat in urban environments against Hellspawn. And alongside like SWAT guys and stuff. And they always feel so real. In the other one, Abraham Lincoln shows up and is flying around like Superman. Once or twice I've gotten to ride on his back while he flies. That's it. That's the dream. I never know WTF it's supposed to be about. I have a recurring dream about a skyscraper with a self-contained city inside of it, and the whole thing is riddled with hidden passageways. Total of 4 times in the past few years. I can't wait to go back and keep exploring. I've only had like 4 sex dreams, so I wish I could have returned to any of those. I was a detective in the 1960s, chasing a man who killed women while they were home alone, including my wife. On the night I stayed back at the cop shop working on his case, I found the warehouse he was living in. It was definitely him. He taped all his trophies, the hair of his victims, to the back wall. My wife's ponytail, her bright red hair, was taped to the dirty concrete wall. I raised my gun at him, telling him it was over. He smiled at me, a horrible smile with rotting teeth. It is over. I'm going to wake you up, and when you wake up, you'll disappear, and I'll kill again. Perhaps I'll pay your daughter a visit. I tried to ask him what he meant, but then I woke up in my bedroom. In the dream my girl and I are doing something routine and average. Perhaps shopping, or driving in our car, or cooking. It's always something mundane. But just knowing she is there with me fills me with overwhelming love and joy. I always reach out to tell her that I'm in love with her, that this small moment, even though insignificant, is amazing to me because she is there, and because we are together and happy. I go to say these words to her, but every single time, all that comes out of my mouth is I'm sorry. Just then she'll turn to look at me and that's when I always wake up, startled, sweating, heartbroken, words choking in my throat. The rest of the day will be grey and hazy, with me going through the ritual of daily life, smiling when I'm supposed to smile, lest someone asks the question I dread most, is something wrong? A decade of enduring that dream now. She's gone forever, and I'll be cursed with that dream till I die, I think. This is a long one. I used to dream about nuclear war and the aftermath a lot. In one dream, the bombs had fallen and vehicles were gone B/C of no gas anymore. So I was walking in MPLS. All the buildings were boarded up and there were people everywhere. At the head of an alley, there was a fence and people were gathered to watch an entertainer. I stood there, and a guy with a long beard and wearing a robe came out from behind the fence and started dancing. It was more like Take-I, but I noticed that when he moved his arms or legs, there was a barely visible blue flame trailing behind. It was beautiful, and he wasn't being hurt by it. Then I looked down and there was a basket of puppies. But they were on fire with the same blue flames and they were being harmed by it, but slowly and with no sound. I looked around and no one else seemed to notice it. I tried to put it out, and couldn't and had to watch them all die. Then the dancer went back behind the fence into the alley. Then I knew something. Like in dreams, when you don't hear a voice, but just know it. Dream knowledge, or whatever. The guy was Jesus, and since he couldn't suffer and die again, everyone would have to suffer smaller things and all that suffering would make up for our sins and to redeem us. Watching puppies burn to death was my suffering. I woke up wanting to go in the alley and say WTF. Right. So I have the ability to involuntarily lucid dream. For me, lucid dreaming is brought on by having a nightmare, as though everything is too outlandish for me, and I realize I'm actually dreaming that the dead are killing and eating my friends and neighbors. I then promptly fly off. Problem is, I usually wake up shortly thereafter. Sucks. I nearly checkmated Kasparov in a chess game, just to be woken up by the alarm. I once had an incredibly vivid dream that I was on a bus and a few rows in front of me sat my, several years before deceased, grandpa. I was looking at him and hoping that it was really him when he turned to look at me and winked, something he always did, and in the way that was particular to him. I stood up to go, and sit closer to him, and we were just about to start talking when I woke up. I tried so desperately to go back to sleep and have that conversation with him, but it never happened. Now, I don't believe that it was him back quote visiting me, rather my brain creating something that I would dearly love. But it's a nice thought. I probably had this dream 10 years ago, or maybe more, and I still regularly think about it. I had a dream that I woke up middle in the sea in a warship and thought my real life was dream. Then I learned that we won a war in my country, and going back to home, I met a jerk soldier in the ship. We got along so well. When we got to home, weirdly it was Norway, and it was 1890s. I'm from Turkey, but the thing is my dream country is Norway. So I got so happy when I got in Norway. I met more people in warship that some of them became my best friends. Now I don't wanna explain the whole story after this, but basically I married the girl I met, had children, had best friends, and lived a happy life. Got in some more war, but I managed to survive all. And then I woke up and was back in this shithole life. I have migraine disorder, so anytime I hit my head, even mildly, it causes a severe migraine with mild hallucinations, I guess. I never have them otherwise. They always turn out interesting. My favorite was when I was about 16, and I literally woke up thinking, Steve, where's Steve? I thought for a good minute I was an Avenger. I was a dinosaur, and there were some other dinosaurs, and we were trying to rescue someone, and this girl from my school had to come pick us up in a helicopter. But we left someone on the ground because there was no room in the helicopter, and I was crying that we left them behind. I was 13. Being with my dad who died recently, just riding around the farm talking about life. Have you ever woke up in the middle of a dream and the dream was so interesting that you wanted to go back to sleep to see the end of it? OMG, finally an askReddit I can answer. This is so relatable. If so, what was the dream? Fuck. I was abducted by aliens and sent to Venus. They told me to find ancient artifacts to prove their existence. I actually used to be able to do this. As a child, I'd have really bad nightmares and wake up at a pivotal point, just about to be killed or similar. Then I would think of the most ridiculous way out of that scenario and force myself back to sleep and finish out the dream with my solution. I was a weird kid. I was happy